I want to call the February 3rd meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got to scare people with that gavel sometimes, make sure everyone's awake. Okay, please sign in.
Four members present.
And I would just note that Councilwoman Hardman is going to try to join us online when she can. She had an emergency meeting come up at work, so she's going to try to join us a little bit later. Ryan, have there been any changes to the agenda?
No changes recommended by staff, Your Honor.
Okay, I would like to make one adjustment here. In accordance with Rule 15 of the Council Procedural Rules, I would request that with the motion adopting the agenda, that the motion also suspend the rules for purposes of reordering the agenda for good cause. So with that, and I guess the reason for this is that there is an item on the agenda, item 6A, that Councilwoman Hardman would like to be here to vote on. So with that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda and reorder due to good cause?
So moved with the change.
And
Can we specify where
we're going to reorder. 6A is going to be put at the very end of the agenda, right before item 9, other business. So after item 8, receive, file, and or refer.
I'll second Kevin's motion.
Sorry. Okay, so it's a moved and seconded. Please vote. Sorry, got ahead of myself there.
4 yes.
Okay, moving on to Citizens Forum, item 2. Anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on anything that is not either part of public hearings or new business. If you have an item you'd like to discuss that is not part of public hearings or new business, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. We ask that you keep it to 5 minutes or under, that you keep it civil and respectful. I've got somebody here in the chamber that is going to be addressing the council, and then I will go online after the chamber. Okay.
Yep. I'm getting it up for you.
Shane, if you want to give us your name and address for the record when you start.
You already gave it away.
Well, you know, I'm helping you with, I'm leading in.
Shane McClinton, 1910 Ashworth Road. And as you guessed, I'm here to discuss the decision to go with a road, the reconstruction from 19th to 23rd. And it was decided a few meetings ago to go with the option 2C, which, if you recall, I've kind of put it on there, uses 12-foot lanes. And since that time, I wish I could move on, but there were some things said at that meeting that I want to address that I just feel are not right. And I feel like it influenced the decision in a way that puts the city in a position to where they could still be taking more land than is necessary and putting them against eminent domain law, which is the obligation of the city. Probably another equally important thing is also safety-wise, okay? We've discussed some of the outcome studies. This plan also, based on the outcome studies, may be less safe than the alternative that were passed up. So again, I've kind of outlined here in the Venn diagram kind of the decision. There were two important aspects that, again, have unsettled me that were said that significantly impacted the decision. One of which was based on the testimony of one person that there is no other reasonable engineer that would, and there's no other generally recognized engineering or safety standard criteria design theory that exists to support the use of 11-foot lanes, 11-foot lanes from curb to line. Okay, so it would be the 10 plus the 1-foot offset. Okay, so based on one testimony, about 5 minutes of conversation, thank goodness the attorney started this conversation. We had that conversation because that has significant implications on our eminent domain obligations. But it was decided that we couldn't use 11-foot lanes based on that one testimony. Okay, and it wasn't vetted any further than that. And so I did a little extra research. I'll present that to you in a little bit. A second important component was you were led to believe that wider lanes, the pilot study that switched the road from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, went from 9-foot lanes to 12-foot lanes, that simply wider lanes led to lower speeds. And that is not true. There were two variables manipulated with that, one of which was the conversion. And if you think about it, converting the lanes from 4 to 3, if there were any significant, meaningful changes in speed that were above the error in the measure, it was more than likely due to the fact that now cars are stacked in one lane versus before cars had a lane to pass in. So they could go faster if they wanted to. Now they can't. So again, the important implication is wider lanes did not lead to lower speeds, okay, in that study. It can't conclude that because that wasn't the only variable manipulated, okay? So again, I just want all the facts to be accurate for consideration so that the best decision can be made. So I can talk to you more about, if you really want to discuss some of the evidence with regards to, was this 1 mile an hour difference in speed really meaningful and beyond the error measure? But if you understand and investigate statistics, it probably was not within the error, it was not outside of the error of the measure. So really, that difference is probably not all that meaningful. So I want to come back, though, to the 11-foot lane aspect and the fact that there is no design standard or reasonable engineer that would advocate the use of 11-foot lanes. So as you can see here, I have 2 examples, and I can find more. There are 2 examples of recently reconstructed roads that used 11-foot lanes from the curb face to the line. So this would be the same as a 10-foot lane plus a 1-foot curb offset. The 6th Street one in Des Moines, the top one there, that is probably the closest example to Ashworth Road. 4 lanes to 3 lanes, just like we're doing. If you look at the amount of traffic, I could only find 2008, so more than likely 15,000 vehicles a day is probably a little bit more than that. Very similar to Ashworth Road. It is a bus and a truck route, just like the section we're talking about in Ashworth Road. It is a minor arterial, just like Ashworth Road. So all the important criteria that have been brought up that factor into whether this would be appropriate are met within there. And as you can see, if you believe my tape measure there, that vertical red line, that is the curb face. So you can see that actually, this is a little bit less than 11 feet. That's the outer lane in this road, very similar to Ashworth, an example of another city using that design. I spoke with the engineer. The engineer said the reason why they did that is because they had constraints. They wanted to fit this within the context, very similar to us too. They didn't want to take excessive land, and that was very appropriate because narrower lanes promote slower speeds. The 3 engineers I talked to, the consistent thing they said, narrower lanes promote slower speeds. It slows traffic down. So when we go to 4 to 3 lanes, that's going to help. But if we go from 12 to 11, that's going to help even more. Okay? And so I've spoken with another
Shane,
engineer.
your time is up. If you could wrap it up, please.
Okay, will do. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Again, another road in Grimes. You can review that. Lastly, I did talk to an independent engineer, okay, who acts as an expert witness, has over 20 years of experience, and given the context of Ashworth Road, he said it would fall within all of the 3 major standards. So my question then is, and this is maybe designated to the council, but also the attorney too, considering this evidence, would the city have statutory immunity if they used 11-foot lanes? Okay, this would be the 10+1 option. If so, then why wouldn't we consider a plan like 2E that takes less land to stay in accordance with eminent domain law and to support the over 5,000 roads
Shane,
that
you gotta wrap it up.
show that 11-foot lanes are safer than 12? And if not, why wouldn't we consult at least one independent source to be sure before we just forge ahead with this in the way that we are?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, anybody else for Citizens Forum before I go online? Okay, we'll go online and see if Amy's there. Please hit *6 to unmute yourself. Give us your name and address for the record if you'd like to address the council if you are online. Is there anybody online that would like to address the council on Citizens Forum? Going once?
Hello?
Okay, please give us your name and address for the
All right.
record.
I'm Brad Morford, 1815 Ashworth Road. I just want to say that I've been working with Shane throughout this entire process when the director has been from yourself, Mayor, nearly a year ago to devise a plan that comes up with the least amount of space being used. And I think that Shane has got good information that I think the council should reconsider their last vote. I think the engineer, his recommendation was the plan that actually used the most space, which was contrary to what the directive was. And I wish that the city council would at least reconsider and look at the statistics that Shane has put forth rather than just going with the city engineer's recommendation, which I think, especially given the light of worrying about the legalities, when we have sidewalks up on 50th and Ashworth that are 36 inches from the street, where school children are forced to walk on that up on that corner, and yet we try to say we're designing everything for the safety of the citizens. You know, there's just too many examples that we're not doing it that way. And I don't know why this one we're so heck bent on taking so much property from the homeowners on this. I think it can be done with taking less property and still work. And that is my 2 cents worth, Mayor and City Council.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Okay, anybody else online for Citizens Forum? *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing no one.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, Amy. Give us your name and address for the record. You know the routine.
Amy Buer, 8415 Mill Civic Parkway.
All right, go ahead, Amy. You've got 5 minutes.
I almost missed the meeting today because of all the construction noise today had me very sick. You know, the construction next to my house.
Yep, sorry to hear that, Amy.
Thank you. Did you ever get that worked out with the governor?
I'm not sure what I was supposed to work out with the governor.
On whether there's some builders here in West Des Moines that are foreign buying property or either buying property or building on property, foreigners, people from out of the country that may not be citizens.
I wasn't aware we had any issue with people buying property here.
We went over it probably about 3 city council meetings ago. You don't remember the office that I gave you to, and you said that you will be speaking to the governor about it?
I'm sorry, Amy, I don't recall that.
All right, you got a lot going on, I can imagine. Yeah, I also wrote an email to the council and to the police saying that, you know, the smaller lanes will help people from speeding, or the city of West Des Moines just needs to lower the speed limit. Like out in front of my house, the speed limit is 40, but they fly by faster than that, you know, dirt trucks, doing construction and semis coming from the interstate and local cars, I suppose. And that 6-story glass corporate building that was illegally built that stares at me morning, noon, and night, and has very bright lights that doesn't help my health, and nothing gets done about it. And the city of West Des Moines, City Hall, cartel wants to widen the road in front of my house and bring it up to my front porch when I'm disabled. And that's going to kill me. And you don't care. And then to boot, you don't pay for land that you're going to take. What you want to do is have me hire an attorney so that I have to fight for the money. That's what you want to do. So then therefore the attorney takes the money, and then if the case goes on because you guys hire a pro bono attorney, it could go on for years and years and years and years. And then by that time I'll be dead, and then you'll just take the whole property and do a deal with the attorney, whoever it's going to be. Are you there?
Yep, I'm just listening.
Okay, and also last week and the week before, when I come on to the city council meeting, I noticed that city council people, and not so much you, but they like to laugh at me and my disability. And I don't think
No,
it's very funny. And even
nobody's
Renee
laughing, Amy.
Hardman likes to take her middle finger and scratch her nose. You all need to resign. Every single one of you up there sitting, every single one of you.
All right, Amy, that's your 5 minutes. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, have a good one.
How can I?
Okay, anybody else for Citizens Forum? Okay, hearing no one, Citizens Forum's closed. We're going to move on to item 3, Mayor, Council, Manager Report, Other Entities Update. And we're going to start out with item 3A, Steve Freevert, Historic Valley Junction Foundation, who's going to give us a brief report. Steve, you've got the mic. Please do give us your name and address for the record.
Sure. Steve Feburary, Executive Director of the Historic Valley Junction Foundation on Fifth Street.
And I'm Jason Kegley. I am board president of the Historic Valley Junction Foundation.
And it's messed me up a little because Kevin and Doug's name tags are switched, but I thought it was like April 1st up here or something. Don't worry, I can tell you apart. And apologies in advance because Councilor Lotz and Hudson have already heard some of this at the FNA meeting, but hopefully there's some good new information as well. We thank you for an opportunity to present our annual report on what's going on with the Historic Valley Junction Foundation. We've got a newly created annual report. It's going to be uploaded to our website and shared publicly tomorrow. Jason is going to help me go through this quick presentation. You've been looking at our mission statement for a while now, so I'm going to talk about that. On the next slide, it's right behind, it's on top of it. These are just some of the facts and figures that we keep track of for Main Street, Iowa on a quarterly basis. 150 employers and 1,300 employees sounds like an estimate. That's an exact number. It just sounds like it's rounded off. We actually had no net gain or loss of businesses. Last year, we had an equal number of openings and closures. There was a slight increase in the number of employees. I expect that we will see a net increase this year.
So here are a few things you can see of what the foundation does that you guys are all well aware of. So our main priority is business and property owner support, district beautification and placemaking, district marketing and promotion, and signature community events. And you can see here that Valley Junction is one of the #1 spots in the city for visitorship. We had over 1.3 million total visitors to the district, 75% of which were outside of the city. And that also includes almost 5,500 visitors to the historic City Hall to visit the Foundation Welcome Center.
And we get those numbers through geofencing cell phone data, so it's scarily accurate. I just want to add too, with a couple of those photos, the top right is the West Des Moines Schools who Be the Boss group visited Valley Junction, met with some of our business owners last summer. On the left, new Main Street America CEO Erin Barnes visited Main Street. Is visiting Main Streets all around the country, but we were actually the first Main Street she visited as in her new position, so that was exciting. We were glad to welcome her. And then on the bottom right, Hiro Matsumoto is from Japan. He has been studying Main Street and how its downtown revitalization efforts might translate into Japan. He brought 8 of his colleagues over from Japan to visit us this summer. So we're glad to welcome people from all over the world. Here you can see our numbers for our Facebook followers, our Instagram engagement, the new or newly enlarged Christmas tree in front of the fire admin building. It was a big hit. Lots and lots of people going down there to take selfies. We see people getting their senior photos taken, family photos taken up and down the street, all days of the week and all hours of the day. I also want to add, we do have a community e-blast that goes out to subscribers at the first of every month. We also do a weekly e-blast to all the downtown or the district merchants, employees, and property owners. So we keep in constant contact with those people. Also want to talk about private property investment. This is one of the statistics that we track for Main Street, Iowa. You can see the numbers was kind of low last year. I think there are a number of projects that are kind of in the planning stages. I expect that number to be quite a bit higher this year. I know of a few things underway. But we do, when I count things like private property improvements, that includes everything from new signage to an exterior rehab to interior remodel, new roofs, things like that. You can see last year with the sign-up money provided from the city, we had examples like the new cherries on top of Bing's as part of that sign-up program. At the bottom is the before and after of 521 Maple Street, previously vacant apartments, now transformed into Airbnbs, and my family loves to stay there when they visit. So happy to see stuff like that happening in the district.
So another big thing in Valley Junction is the volunteerism that we have there. We recorded over 4,500 volunteer hours in 2024. And since our inception of the foundation in '87, we've recorded over 186,000 volunteer hours. So you can only imagine how much that is worth to the city of that basically free labor that Valley Junction is able to provide to the benefit of the district.
And not all of those are Jason, but many of them are. And also, I also wanted to add, so you see the total private property investment recorded since 1987 when we became a Main Street program. It's not quite 87 million. I expect that we're probably going to reach 90 million probably this year. If not this year, definitely next year. So excited to see that. We should reach, I would say, 100 million within 5 years. Be impressive.
This slide here is a great example of how we are a community gathering place. We hold 65 public events in 2024. A lot of examples of which are the Yoga in the Park in the bottom left, Music in the Junction on the right, and the Farmers Market on the top.
And this year we did purchase some new folding picnic tables that we put out for the farmers market, a good place for families to sit and eat and gather rather than sitting on the curbs or sitting in front of doorways. That was super popular, so we'll be doing that again for farmers market and other events. Our other big transformational strategy for how we want to improve the district is supporting our retail, food, and experience businesses. You can see here we do microgrant programs. We do a business operations microgrant. Coffee Cats got a grant to do a new POS system. We've had grants to do awning improvements, signage improvements, interior painting. It's been very successful. We also, one of the ones we did last year, I really like to point out is on the upper right, Kunzler Studios had an unused closet storage room. We gave them a micro grant, matching grant, and they were able to install a new pottery throwing studio. It helps them increase their business, meets a need, and brings more people to the district. So it was a win all around for leveraging just that little bit of investment. Also, a lot of what we do is meant not just to improve Valley Junction, but really to make West Des Moines a better place. We're really happy to finally get a new mural painted this past year. The planning began for that in early 2023, so that was a long time coming. That took a lot of fundraising and a lot of effort, but it's well worth it. It turned out fantastic. Also, I'd like to point out on the right, in 2022 and 2024, Reader's Digest Online named Valley Junction as the best Christmas town in Iowa, a crown that we are happy to wear. And we've been voted City View's best shopping district in the metro for the last 3 years. Tomorrow evening is their award ceremony, and we hope to make it number 4. And with that, I just want to thank you for all your support, all the time that you extend to us. Your staff is absolutely phenomenal to work with in every department. We are happy to be a partner in everything you do and helping to make not only Valley Junction successful, but West Des Moines successful, a great place for people to shop, to eat, to visit, to be entertained. People from all around the world and all ages and abilities, we're glad to have them.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Jason, as well, and all your board members and volunteers that help you to throw all the different events that you have down there. Valley Junction is just amazing, and it's getting better every single day. Every time I go down there, I can't stop smiling. Just
Looking
how
forward to
incredible it is.
spring at this point. I think
Yeah,
look even
yeah,
better.
they're amazing. So, any questions for Steve or Jason? Okay, thank
for
you,
your time.
gentlemen, for
Appreciate
coming
it.
in. Appreciate all you do. Okay, moving on to Mayor, Council, Manager report, and I will start down to my left here with Councilman Lotz.
Nothing to report, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilman Trevilian.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Councilman McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items here for you. First, on Saturday evening, this upcoming Saturday, Bravo is going to be hosting its annual gala. And so far, things are looking very good. And obviously, that's an important part of what Bravo does. It helps draw awareness. Is going to help raise some funds for the Passport to Culture program, which is a program that allows children from across the metro to be able to access arts and culture activities. And so that'll be Saturday night, and looking forward to it. I also just, I'd want to, first of all, thank Shane for presenting this material here. And I can appreciate how it is difficult to maybe, I don't know how to put it, that you're still going through the, consideration of this issue. And so, there's been plenty of situations where I find myself continuing to revisit issues. I think for me, it's always helpful to look at this, Shane, and I'll certainly do that. The reality is, for me, an important consideration is what we heard at that council meeting a couple weeks ago, when our legal counsel, Greta, city attorney, had the dialogue with Brian, and the question is whether or not we as a city would continue to enjoy immunity if we move forward with certain plans. And as much as I do not want to take any more ground than we need to, I also have to recognize the importance of making sure that the city and ultimately the property taxpayers are not on the hook by advancing a design that could create liability for the city and ultimately costs for everybody, at least the citizens of the city. And so understanding that, we have a city engineer that took a look at this and was able to provide his opinion. And I recognize you could find there, there's the battle of the experts, so to speak, in the courtroom. It's often something that arises, but we have to at least look to one. And we have one city engineer here, and that testimony was certainly a component of why it's important, at least for me, to ensure that we don't do something that's going to create liability. And at the same time, recognizing, as you properly pointed out, and I appreciate what you pointed out, and part of it is here at the top of this document that you shared, that the original plan that would have taken, as I recall, a little over 10,000 square plus feet of ground, I was happy that and glad that we moved off of that we reduced the amount of ground that was taken as much as, in my opinion, as much as we possibly could without unnecessarily exposing the city to liability. And so to the extent that provides some perspective, I wanted to share that. I'm sure it certainly doesn't resolve your concern, but I wanted to at least give you and Brad, who called in, some perspective. And I appreciate you being here. Other than that, Mayor, I don't have anything further at this time.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Shane, for presenting. And I know he had brought up some questions, and so I'm guessing that we can get those answered for him, because I think if there's a legal question and you have a question for your city government, I think we would want to answer that for you. So we will get that answer to you. So thank you for that, because you asked a couple questions at the end. And other than that, no report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. City Manager Haddon.
No report, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on, item 4, consent agenda. We're going to pull item 4N as in Nancy and item 4O. Are there any other items that any council person would like to have pulled and voted on separately? Otherwise, I would take a motion to approve the remainder.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 4N, City of West Des Moines, Ginger West, Boonville Road, South 100th Street to South 115th Street. Project, vacate an existing permanent storm sewer easement located within property located at 11375 Boonville Road. We've got a resolution for approval of easement vacation agreement and vacation request. Does somebody want to move approval of the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'm going to be abstaining. It has to do with the parents' homestead.
Okay. Thank you for that. We will show Councilman McKinney as abstaining. With that, please vote.
Three yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, and then item 4O, it's a approval of proclamation honoring February 2025 as Black History Month. Can I get a motion to approve the proclamation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, and I'm going to read. Whereas during the month of February, the city of West Des Moines recognizes the immeasurable contributions of African Americans to our city, state, and nation. And whereas first created in 1926 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson as a week-long observance to accurately represent Black history, it would be adopted 60 years later as a month-long celebration by Congress in 1986. And whereas this month provides us the opportunity to promote the countless contributions of African Americans that have enriched the lives of every American. Whereas, despite the enduring history of enslavement, injustice, and discrimination, African Americans have played a pivotal role in U.S. history. Their contributions to agricultural, medicine, science, politics, arts, and countless other fields have spurred justice and economic opportunities for all. And whereas throughout West Des Moines history, our African American community has played a significant role in the development of historic Valley Junction, serving as rail and cement workers. They helped build the railroad and make the cement that would be used to pave roads and sidewalks, ultimately furthering the vision of historic Valley Junction. And now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month, and I call upon the residents of West Des Moines to learn about the history and current experiences of African Americans throughout the year. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
And is there anybody here to receive this proclamation? Otherwise, I will just file it in my packet. Okay. All right, with that, we're going to move on to item 5, old business. Item 5A, Soteria Church, 3250 Southeast Soteria Avenue, amend the zoning map to establish light industrial zoning, Airport Baptist Church. We have got an ordinance amendment for approval of the second reading, waiver of the third reading, and adoption in final form for consistency zoning. There are no outstanding issues and no change from the previous reading, which was adopted unanimously by the council at the last meeting with Trevilian absent. This was also approved unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion considered second reading?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
4 yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2024 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4 zoning districts and maps.
Motion to approve the second reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Motion to waive the third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 5B, resolution authorizing construction of public improvements, Hidden Estates Phase 1 sanitary sewer. We've got a resolution authorizing the construction of public improvements for Hidden Estates Phase 1 sanitary sewer. There are no outstanding issues, and this was deferred at our last meeting for the developers to get together to try to figure out a compromise to provide access to both Harmeyer and Elgin's properties. A meeting did occur. Councilman McKinney joined us on that meeting. There was good discussion that went on, and they were going to have further discussion after the meeting to try to figure something out. I'm not sure that anything got figured out ultimately, but I know there was a good conversation that went on. With that, can I get approval of the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion at all on the dais?
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So if this was deferred because we wanted everybody to get together and talk about this and come up with a solution, but now we're being asked to vote on it and we don't know if anything was resolved, why would we approve it?
So,
Well,
go ahead, Mayor.
well, we've got Dave Harmeyer here. I don't know if anybody else is here, but Dave, do you want to come up and maybe discuss? And we've also got Chris Costa as well. Discuss if any resolution has been arrived at.
Dave Harmeyer, 2400 86th Street, Urbandale, Vista Real Estate. Thank you, Kevin, for that. So we're not opposed to the sanitary sewer motion that you're in front of you, and I appreciate you guys giving us time to have our engineer verify that we do have a stub and we do have an easement. If we are able to get access to our property, I hope that we'll be able to use that. So we don't have any opposition and don't want to delay NAP for doing this, but we still haven't worked out a solution with them. We had a phone call, which Russ and Matt were a part of, a few of the staff. And then we did have a subsequent meeting at NAP. I met with them, and we threw out a lot of options that we could be looking at with no resolution yet. So we will hopefully do that before they come for preliminary plat. If not, then we'll be back here to talk to you all about that, so.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And
Thank
you. To your knowledge, are the Elgin family, are they in the same position you are then with this at this point?
They are, with some different sets of challenges, but Dave is still, he's still not getting what he would like to see happen either, that I understand. I don't want to speak for him.
But you don't.
He would have access to the sewer line, I would guess, as well, although I did not have our engineer verify
Right.
that for him.
Okay.
I just had him do it. We're actually using the same engineering firm, so it was fairly easy to figure out,
Okay.
so.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Dave. Any other discussion on the dais before we vote?
I just wanted to thank everybody. Mr. Harmeyer, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And for everybody involved, thanks for getting together. Councilman McKinney, Mayor Trumbull, you were there too. All right, thank you all for just getting together to talk it over, and really appreciate that. I think it makes a great difference when folks in the community get together and talk, and I'm ready to move forward with this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 6, public hearings. Item 6A, if you remember at the beginning, we moved to suspend the rules to consider this item right after receive, file, and to refer item 8, and right before item 9, other business. So we will come back to this item. Item 6B. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider a comprehensive plan amendment, approval of update to the comprehensive plan document and land use map for the developed areas of the city initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
January 17th, 2025 in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comments to this hearing?
Plan and Zoning Commission by a vote of 5 yes with 2 absent adopted a resolution recommending approval of this comp plan amendment.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6B, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody in the chamber or online that would like to address the council on item 6B? Okay, hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And I know we've got a resolution for approval, the amendment to the comprehensive plan and land use map, but I have had some councilmen that had some concern with this, particularly one item on here. And the request and the thought was to actually hold the public hearing and then defer this item, have this go before development and planning for some discussion, and then after thorough discussion at development and planning level, bring it back to the council for consideration whenever it may be ready. So can I get a motion to defer this item and have it brought back to development and planning, and then have it consequently brought back to the council once ready?
Motion to defer
Okay.
back to the subcommittee.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this strikes me as a good idea because this is why we have these subcommittee meetings in the first place, for this precise purpose. So I'm very glad that both Councilwoman Hardman and Councilman McKinney have a chance to look this over and parse it over and have a good discussion with city staff and any other stakeholders who might be there. So to be honest, I'm very supportive of deferring this right now and moving forward in that direction. So whoever idea that was, great job. I support it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion on this item before we vote?
I'll just, Mayor, offer that I'm glad to see, I've probably been the sticky wicket, so to speak, on trying to move forward with bring our comprehensive plan into a comprehensive, approach. And I think I'm hopeful that perhaps 2 weeks from today, we can have that development and planning subcommittee meeting, I guess, to, walk through this and make sure that as soon as we possibly can, we get something, maybe this very document, back to the full council so that we can move it forward and not delay.
Yeah, we got to take our time, make sure we do this right. And I know that, we're, on one hand, we're antsy to try to get this in place and have this applied to the rest of the city so that we don't have two different comp plans, if you will. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we get this right. And I know that there's at least one of these things that there needs to be a little bit further discussion on for understanding and to make sure that we're getting it right. So.
Oh, and
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, it just should be said that to Lynn and your entire team, the amount of time that you've put in for this comp plan is enormous and extraordinary. So I did want to share my gratefulness and my thanks because it's a lot to do this for the entire city. So thank you, and thanks to the entire team for that. And I know it's we still have a little bit more to do, but just want to say thank you, Lynn. Thank you to your entire team.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, an enormous amount of work has gone into this comprehensive plan over a number of years, and staff has done a phenomenal job on this and soliciting feedback and input from the citizens. There were just a number of events that they held to get that input from citizens, and just so many different things they did to reach out to our people. So, yep. I just want to make sure for the record, we had public comment, nobody came forth, and then I closed the public hearing, correct? So now.
Correct.
Just want to make sure that we did that. Okay.
Clarification, was the motion to continue this
Motion
two
is
weeks
to,
from
not
today?
2 weeks, whenever it's ready to come back.
Okay, so
Bring it back
indefinitely.
to development and planning, and then whenever it's ready for prime time, we've had discussion, we've vetted it thoroughly at development and planning,
Okay.
then have it come back. That could be at the next council meeting in March. It could be at the second meeting in March, just whenever it's ready.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion before we vote? All right, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6C. This is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider 2024-25 median renovations program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
January 17th, 2025 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 6C, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody in the chamber or online that would like to address the council on item 6C? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got 2 resolutions and a motion, which we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move approval.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the dais?
Yeah, one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
You know, we have a couple of things coming up when it comes to the financial impact. And I know that, our chief engineer, Brian Hemeseth, has mentioned this before, but sometimes they come in above, sometimes they go in below. But by balance, they tend to balance out. But I do notice that this one is quite a bit of savings, and the next two are a little bit less savings, but it is good to see that they balance out. But what always pleases me is there's always multiple bids to come to work with the city of West Des Moines, which means we have a good process, we have a good bidding process, we have a good engineering team, and maybe I'm just in a complimentary mood tonight, but I just want to say thank you to your team as well, because hey, I know you work hard on this, and I think it's a difference maker, so thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman. In a good mood. All right, I love it. I love it. It's always good to be in a good mood. All right, especially on a Monday.
Yes.
Any other discussion on this before we vote? Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6D. This is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider the 2024 sewer manhole rehabilitation program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
January 17th, 2025 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody either online or in the chamber that would like to address the council on item 6D? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. And once again, we've got 2 resolutions and a motions we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the dais?
If you see where these manholes are, it's going to be very important to go right through the Jordan Creek Mall area. So I would very much like them to be improved and not be deficient in any sort of way. So, yeah, I'm supportive.
You are in a good mood. You're even in support of the sewer manhole rehabilitation program.
Hey, these are the unsexy things that are really important.
It is.
So,
It is.
Yes.
All right. Any other discussion on the dais? All right.
Greg,
Please
maybe
vote.
they'll let you go down and help inspect them.
He might not be so happy then. All right. Please vote.
I'm up for an invitation. That sounds fun or interesting.
Four yes.
Okay. Item 6E. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider the 2024 pavement markings and on-street bike markings program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
January 17th, 2025 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6E, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody in the chamber or online that would like to address the council on item 6E? Okay, hearing and seeing no one again, I will declare the public hearing closed. And once again, we've got two resolutions and a motion which we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues. Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion approved.
Okay, is there seconds? We've moved and seconded. Greg, any compliments here?
I mean, when it comes to striping, no, I'm kidding. I don't have them.
All right. All right.
They'll let you drive the truck.
Yeah, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7, new business. Item 7A, picket fence communities Plat 1, northeast corner of Mill Civic Parkway and South 88th Street, accept surety and release final plat to create 1 lot for multifamily development, 7 lots for single-family residential development, and 1 street lot. PFC WDM LLC. We've got a resolution to accept surety and approve and release the final plat, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, is there any discussion on the dais? Okay.
This is Renee.
Okay, please vote. Renee, we are voting on item 7A, old business, picket fences, communities, to accept the surety and approve and release the final plat. Do we need to do attendance again, real quick?
We do not because we still have 4 here.
Okay, we have 4 here.
But we can count her
Okay.
as present now.
All right, Renee, we are voting on the resolution to accept surety, approve, and release the final plat for picket fences. Okay, please vote.
Yes.
Okay,
5 yes.
all right. Item 8, receive, file, and a refer. Item 8A, we will receive the City of West Des Moines Sustainability Action Plan, and we will file that. We will now go back to item 6A, public hearings. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider West Grand Business Park north and south sides of Grand Avenue between South 60th Street and South Jordan Creek Parkway, amend the planned unit development ordinance to modify regulations for parcel 3, 4, and 5, initiated by West Des Moines Entertainment LLC. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
January 17th, 2025 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Plan and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 5 yes with 2 absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the PUD amendment, and there were also 2 citizen correspondences received that have been placed in the dais this evening.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 6A, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same.
Excuse me, Ned Burmeister, 6256 Pheasant Run Drive.
Okay,
I'm the author of one of the written comments, and
okay,
just here to quickly thank you in advance
sure.
for enforcing the ordinances with regards to light and light pollution as this development takes place for those of us who overlook it from the north. So thank you again in advance for enforcing the ordinances that already exist.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ned. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else in the chamber that wants to address the council on item 6A before I go online? Okay, is there anybody online that would like to address the council on item 6A? Okay, hearing no one, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. We've got an ordinance for approval, the first reading, and there are no outstanding issues. Somebody want
Motion to consider the first reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the dais? Okay, please vote.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest. An ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2024, ordinance numbers 1373, 1812, 2299, 2359, 2360, 2446, 2460, and 2462 pertaining to plan unit development district regulations and guidelines.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, item 9, other business. Are there any other items that any council person would like to raise at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will adjourn into our workshop. We are adjourned. Take care, Renee.
Okay, Russ?
Yep, we can hear you. We just adjourn into our workshop.
Are you gonna project them? The slides, or do you want me to? What do you wanna do? Huh? I have a PowerPoint. Well, I'm gonna present for me.
We did survive. Well, I haven't yet.
I mean, that you are going to acknowledge.
Oh, yeah, it's the acknowledgement for the future acknowledgement. I forgot this acknowledgement.
I'll bring the whole staff. And then we'll talk as long as you all wanna talk.
Could be fun, just smile.
I was thinking maybe I
Let's
could
leave you rather home.
call into this.
Just like shelters.
I gotta drive and walk my friend's dad's funerals tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Drive.
Everybody's sick.
There's a 1 a.m.
All we're doing
Ridiculous.
tomorrow. Be back at 6 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I could dial in, I'll dial in.
That's fine.
See the
Yeah,
budget
there's no reason to meet, just to meet.
Yeah, we got a couple items for the following week, so.
You want us to give it a couple minutes before we get started? Give you a chance to.
Just, you guys need a couple minutes before we get started? You guys need a couple minutes?
That'd be good if we can.
All right. All right, we'll start at 6:30. How about that? Okay, 6:31. 6:31. We'll get going and get everybody out of here. We'll get changed. I'll get the heck out of here myself.
I will have a public meeting.
I didn't know if that was in terms of money, we needed to come back on the council.
I forgot I need to place that item on the agenda after I asked for it to be moved.
Oh.
Sometimes I get ahead of myself.
I'm glad, it worked out. I should be displaying it. Awesome, thank you. So, Russ, are you heading out?
I'm gonna head out.
Us on the phone?
Can I, can I join on the phone?
Yeah,
Am I gonna be able to find that, like, how to join? You sent it to
yeah,
me,
well,
right?
do you have your agenda in here? Cause that,
Oh,
if you're
oh, yeah,
calling
yeah,
in, it's
yeah,
right at the top,
yeah. I'll call it right now.
right there.
Who is the mouse?
What's that?
What's the mouse?
I don't know.
I can talk this way, Ryan, too?
Yeah, you could.
Okay. 7,
Who's the?
82.
Can I use like the down arrow?
No, it's me. So, give me the signal, I guess.
Easy peasy.
What are we doing? Yeah. Okay. How long we got, Christine?
I will talk for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then it's as long as you all want to talk.
Oh, that won't be much.
I'm okay with that.
I have to get on a plane early tomorrow.
He
Ready
needs
to
to drive
call
to
him.
Milwaukee, so
Chris going to Milwaukee?
Friends, one of my best friend's dads passed away over the weekend. So it's tough. I was trying to figure out how to do it.
Just gotta
This
go.
is how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Has the workshop started?
Hey, Renee, we're getting ready to start here. Renee, if you can hear me, we're getting ready to start in about 22 seconds.
Okay,
Now you gotta wait.
We have to wait till the mayor leaves.
13 seconds.
okay, okay. The mayor's leaving?
Nanny.
Russ is leaving the room right now. I can't speak to what he's up to. But Ryan Moffett and Christine Gordon are about to begin in roughly 4 seconds.
Okay, no problem.
Time's up.
Okay.
I'm hoping to beat the ice.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Moffett, Community and Economic Development Director. So our topic of the workshop tonight is our upcoming 5-year Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG Consolidated Plan. And really, in a nutshell, what this plan does is provide direction and guidance on what our vision is for how we use the CDBG resources that the city receives every year, how we implement the funding once we do receive it, and then just what are we doing to address the community's overall goals and priorities when we come to utilizing this funding. So here with me tonight, Christine Gordon, our housing manager. I've got Jenny Roy in the back. She's our housing planner. She's going to take some good notes for us tonight. And Christine's going to run through a presentation here. We've got about 25 slides. We'll roll through as quick as we can because the important part of this tonight is the feedback that we get from you. But she's going to talk a little bit about kind of the program requirements for CDBG, a little bit of the history of how we utilize that in the past, and then what the next steps are in this planning process that we're going through. So just a kind of a heads up, this feedback that we get from you tonight really does represent the best opportunity to get feedback directly from the council. There are more steps in the process from a planning perspective where we'll get public input as well. And Christine will outline what that timeline looks like. But the date that we're trying to meet to have this done and completed by is the next fiscal year. So July 1st, we need to have this wrapped up and adopted. One of the kind of elephants in the room right now that I will mention is that there's a lot of uncertainty right now when it comes to federal funding. We don't know better than anyone else in terms of if CDBG is going to continue to be, authorized for entitlement communities, if HUD's going to exist. There's all kinds of things that could happen out there, but what we want to do is be as prudent as possible right now to make sure that we're following through with this planning effort and doing the things that are within our control. I will say too, we belong to a couple of organizations that are tracking this very closely from a federal funding perspective. So like last week when we had all this news about federal grants being suspended, within hours we had emails from the two groups that we're talking about here, the International Economic Development Council and the National Community Economic Development Organization that Christine gets emails from as well. So we're in tune. If we hear of anything, we'll certainly relay that to the powers that be here. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Christine. She's going to go through the presentation, and then we will take your feedback and comments at the end. And just to be as efficient as possible, if you don't mind, if we could roll through the presentation, and then we'll take some Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, so you have the slides in your packet that I'm gonna go through, and then there's a supplemental that's after that will be additional information that you can look at. But, so, all right, I'll look at your, so this is just community development block grant. We are an entitlement city. We're above 50,000 in population, so that means that we receive automatic funding from the federal government in community development block grant. Many of you are aware it comes with lots of rules and regulations along with it because it's federal money. We'll get into some of that. And then the money has to go to households below 80% of area median income. That's a federal regulation. These are some of the rules and regulations you have to follow. Anytime we're going to use CDBG funding on a program, we have to get into environmental review, the new, they call it BABA, Build America, Buy America. Davis-Bacon, related to wages. So there's all sorts of regulations that we have to get involved in depending on the type of program you're doing. These is a chart of the current income guidelines that we have to follow, the 80% for the Des Moines and West Des Moines MSA. So they're broken out by the different income brackets that we traditionally talk about, but 80% is the max that the households have to meet to receive CDBG funding. These are some general overarching guidelines. So we can't spend more than 20% of our funds for admin of our allocation each year. We can't spend more than 15% of our funds on public services. So like homeless prevention is a public service, and we'd love and we have a need to spend $200,000 in helping with homeless prevention, but we cannot. We have that limitation statutorily. Only 15% of our allocation can go towards public service activities. This is just history. We have been an entitlement city for 20 years, since 2005. That's what I came on board. I've been here for 20 years, and just the very first thing I did was write this consolidated plan. In total, we've received a little over $6 million in that 20 years. If you go online to the city website and to CDBG, I have a spreadsheet that shows how we have spent that $6 million. So if anyone ever wants to know where's that gone, what program, it's broken out by every single year and how all that money's been spent. The average allocation that we get is around $265,000. It's a formula that HUD puts out based on population, race, poverty rates, and such that determines what the allocation is going to be. So we have ranged, the lowest was 213 up to 339. So every spring, HUD tells us, here's what your allocation is for the next year. So we never quite know year to year, but it's going to be in that ballpark. This is examples of the things in the last 20 years we've done with it. Transit Pass program, we have had every year for 20 years. Homeless prevention, we've had every year for 20 years. And then we've had other different things we've done. We've done owner-occupied repair, housing rehab. We fixed up historic City Hall that the foundation is now in. We've done land acquisition. A big project before the pandemic was internet access. So there's a whole variety of things that we've done with CDBG, and that's the point of the money. So, consolidated plan, we do this every 5 years. You can do it every 3. No, we do it every 5 because it's a 6-month process, and that's why we're doing this now. Whether we know what the funding's happening or not, statutorily, we have to submit a plan by August 16th. So I'm not gonna wait to find out for sure we have money, and then there's just not time. It takes us 6 months to do this right. So we look at data, we look at all the stuff that's happening in our community. We'll have consultation meetings. This is the city council consultation meeting, and then we'll have it with other people within the community. Look at all that. We'll come up with what the priorities are for the next 5 years. That's really the point of the consolidated plan. Big, broad priorities. Where do we want to spend our money? And then you look at the actual programming. What type of programs are we going to do? Go for it. So, okay, I'm going to go through this quickly because this is where you can get bogged down if you really get into stats. So I'm just giving you some basic foundation, groundwork, so you're aware of where the city's at as you think about what are the needs, what are the priorities, where should we be putting this money. So here's, division of population, we're 72,000. I should have said all this comes from American Community Survey 2023. So some of them are estimates, but that's the best data we have right now. Median age, race is where we are, and that's obviously changing. The Asian population definitely is increasing with more. We have an Indian population coming into our community. So that number I've seen increase. These are maps and data that comes out from HUD. So it shows you where those incomes are spread throughout geographically within our community. So you can see the lowest income and where it is located. So that, if you can kind of see where the map is, it's a little hard to see the streets below, but it's north of Vine. First Street is on the east side, and it kind of goes over to 19th Street-ish and up around Office Park Road. That is the area of our community that has the lowest income. This is poverty rate, so poverty is a little bit lower than our area median income and how that is dispersed within our community. And so you'll see some pockets where the poverty rate's a little bit higher to the west. Traditionally, those are going to be where there's more rental units and less owner-occupied. This is an important map when it comes to CDBG. So CDBG looks at low-income census tracts. Every year, HUD gives out the data by census tract. So those numbers, like 11001 is a census tract. If your census tract has more than 50% of its population is considered low income, below 80%, it's called a low mod census tract. And what that means in CDBG terms is we can do a program that benefits that area. So it gives us a little more flexibility. So every year, this map might change slightly, not usually, but a little bit. So this is the most current one that we have for 2024. This talks about housing and the type. I think most people are aware that we have a lot of attached housing. 58% of our housing stock is attached in one form or another. Owner-occupied predominantly, some renter, but majority is owner-occupied. And then about 50% of our housing stock is at least 25 years old. This talks about where owner-occupied housing is, and you see some of the correlation. If you were looking at the income one earlier versus where the owner-occupied housing is, you can kind of overlap them, and you can see some of the patterns start to form. A lot of information on this. The most important one, and you can digest it later, but the last line that I put on there, that about 26% of our people in our community are cost burden more than 30%, and their income is below 80%. So that means that they're spending more than 30% of their income towards housing costs, and they're considered low income. So about a quarter of our community. This is proportionally or geographically where we see those people that are considered cost burden. And again, you kind of see the correlation between many of the cost burden are renter households. There's a little bit of workforce data. We have a very educated community. We know that 86% of our households or people have at least an associate degree, which is pretty incredible. So I bring that up because we can spend some of the money on economic development. It's not something we've done in 20 years, but it's an option that we could spend some of the money with economic development. This is key with CDBG. Every project we do, every program has to meet one of these 3 national objectives. Has to. No way around it. Low income, slum blight, or urgent need. Now, we've always used here in West Des Moines, low mod income as our national objective. We haven't gotten into slum blight, or urgent need is where there's a disaster or something that might happen that signifies a building might tear down or about ready to fall down and we have to get into it. That might be an urgent need. But in this area, we've only used low mod income. So when we're looking at CDBG, and I put the little 50 years, CDBG has been around 50 years, which is pretty incredible. But you have to meet a national objective, then we come up with our eligible activity, and then we actually have a project. Okay, I'm trying to move fast. Where are we at? We're almost there. So we talk about types of activities, and that's where you really get into this next. That's where I gave you a little more detail in that other handout. There's kind of 6 categories, main categories of type of activities you can do. And the handout I gave you talks about eligible activities and ineligible activities in each of those 6 categories. So rather than me going through each one of those, I gave you that information. These are just examples. These aren't all examples that we have done, but they're examples of things that you can do. Here is a timeline that Ryan mentioned. You're the first of our consultation meetings, and we will do 6 more in March. So other examples, we'll meet with all the school districts at once. We'll meet with all of the social service organizations. We'll meet with the housing organizations. We'll have one for the public where anyone, any citizen can come in and make a comment. So I'll pretty much give this presentation at all these consultations and then listen and hear the feedback in their respective areas and what they're interested in and they know about. What's their feedback and what needs do they see? So we'll go through all that. We'll have a whole bunch of listening sessions. We'll look at the data. Then I will come up with what I think the priorities are based on everything that I've heard. Then we will write the plan. The plan will go out for a 30-day public comment period. So anyone can read it, make comments, disagree, whatever they want to say about it. It will then come to City Council as a public hearing. Once it gets approved, then it will ship it off to HUD for their approval.
So you're contemplating at the end of May having this plan come before the council for consideration?
If we know our allocation from HUD, it doesn't necessarily happen that way, but ideally, that's my ideal timeline. Now, they may, in years past, because they haven't had the budget done on the federal level, so we don't find our allocation out until June.
Okay.
And so,
So this is maybe, when you say ideal, perhaps the earliest we may see it?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
But the latest I can submit a plan to HUD is that August 16th.
Okay.
So there is a window in there. What we have done in some of the 20 years, when we didn't have our allocation, we will do a suggested, last year we got 300,000. And this is how we divided our 300,000 up. And we are gonna suggest that that's what we're going to do. And we will proportionally keep the allocation the same if we get 310,000. So you can do a plan that says, this is what we intend to do, but we will proportionally change it in little amounts, depending on what the actual allocation ends up being.
Okay. And maybe I missed, I don't know, maybe I missed something at the beginning because you had mentioned something about, there's a lot of activity happening at the federal level.
Yeah.
And it looks like you've got a lot of, activity, meetings, consultations, presented to the public, all these sorts of things between now and the earliest date of May 19th. But I mean, it just feels like there is so much change, so much review of things that I mean, like this meeting itself, like I don't know that there's a whole lot of value until we know where things are going, like what the dollar amounts may be, what strings might be attached and contingencies and criteria, that it just feels so like
Preemptive?
it feels a little early at this point, but that's just me as I'm
Probably
thinking
the
about it.
Airplane going over.
Okay, I agree that there's a lot of unknowns. And for me personally, this is my job and it's scary because there's so many unknowns. But this exercise of listening and looking at the information and what are the needs, I think is still valuable to us. I think it's still a valuable exercise, even if it goes away, even if we get $100,000. I think to still talk about what the needs are is still a good exercise for us to go through. That's my personal belief in this, that it's a good exercise because we look at so many different factors, so many different plans and things that are happening in the community. So I think it's still worth having the consultation meetings and meeting with the community and listening.
Okay. So even unrelated to the CBDG funding, this is something you'd want to do?
I believe it's important, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, what I'm talking about is the public comment period, the consolidated plan to the public, I would envision at some point in time, assuming this funding comes through, then, would you, and there are changes, would you then go back and redo all of the, to make sure that it fits whatever the new criteria are or aren't under this potentially revised plan?
Well, certainly if the federal government completely rehauls CDBG in a way that changes how they want us to spend the money. Like they have priorities in general. Like we have to talk about Wi-Fi. We have to talk about how we're going to address people coming out of the criminal justice system. So there's already markers and things that we have to answer. So they could come in with something brand new and say, you have to look at this. And so, yes, then I might have to go back and we have to redo some things.
I think that's the only reason I'm bringing this up,
no,
because we have so many unknowns
yeah.
to host a bunch of meetings, then only maybe to have to go back and rehost meetings based upon new or different or changed criteria. But
So-
you know this program far better than I do.
Well, yes, and so like the very beginning, and like,
And if I could just say something, here's the other thing. I totally hear, Matt, what you're saying. You know, we have no idea with the Trump administration what they're going to be doing, if we're going to even have an allocation of CDBG funds for entitlement cities. No idea. I would just say I think we're better to go through the planning and have a plan in place, and we can always, you know, pivot if we need to. If we find out we're not going to be getting any funding, that's a lot easier than not doing a plan and then finding out that we are getting CDBG money and we don't have a plan in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't agree more.
Fair enough.
I mean, I recognize, first of all, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you have done over the years in this space, okay? And we know that there's changes, we know that there might be, but let's continue to move on. And let's continue to get the input we need. Let's put in the work. One thing we're good at is pivoting when we have to. So if we think we're getting it goes to 100,000, we know how to pivot. But at least you have received information from stakeholders and thoughts and processes. We ultimately are going to have to make the final decision, you and us approving, but at least we can say, this is what the public has told us. We're going to try to honor 1/8 of what we can because we only got 1/8 of what they gave us, and lay it on the people that have made the decision that they're going to reduce this. But we're going to do our fair share of getting public input and public comment, even if it takes time and energy.
Yeah, and I would just add too, I mean, we're trying to stay in HUD's good graces the best that we can.
Yeah.
We owe them a new plan. We're kind of operating under what we know today. We can't really predict the uncertainties of what will happen. So we did discuss that internally as to what to do right now in this time of uncertainty. We just really felt it's the best decision to maintain course and go through this exercise.
Yeah.
There might be no changes.
Yeah.
And if that happens, we owe
Let's
them
not go
a
to sleep until
consolidated
we
plan.
figure out
So-
if they're going to wake us up.
Right. No, you absolutely have to plan that you're going to get the same money that you've already got. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. One main question I got though is your public meeting. How are you going to advertise that and make sure that you get the people at the meetings that we need at these meetings?
So like I said, there's a total of 7 consultation meetings or 7 groups of people. You are one. What I would consider the public, so anyone, MJ, anyone else could come. We would put it on the website. I won't do a direct mailing because that would be 30,000 households necessarily.
It's expensive.
It's just not realistic. We'll put it on Facebook, multiple Facebook. So multiple departments have Facebook pages, the library, put something down at the foundation.
And the mayor has an advisory group. He can publish it and promote it there.
Let the neighborhood groups, there's 3 neighborhood groups going right now in Valley Junction, so let all 3 of them know that it's happening. So as much as I can, let all of you know, so you can let your constituents.
Are you going to post anything at Human Services and at the Senior Center?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Definitely do that.
I mean, a nice sized flyer that
Pretty
catches
big.
their attention.
And I traditionally have had it here at night, so not during the day, so that people are working during the day that they have the option. And it is citywide, so I don't have it in Valley Junction because it's citywide, and this is more central. So I would have it here in the council chambers.
Okay.
And I would say too, that the newsletter that goes out, I mean, I think that's pretty well received, pretty well read by the public. So for the general public meeting, we could probably do something there as well.
Okay, good.
You mean the
Thank you.
West Des Moines magazine?
Yes, the West Des
Oh, I
Moines
see.
magazine, yeah, because I know like Lucinda does a city newsletter.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
indeed, yeah.
How broad the reach is.
One that everybody gets, yep.
The West Des Moines
No, I
magazine's got a lot
understand.
broader reach.
Excellent, thank you.
Does it go out in time? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you include it in, can you work with West Des Moines Waterworks as part of bills that go out on
Yeah.
utility?
Yep, that's another way. If people still receive the paper as opposed to an email, that would be a great way.
I think
Yep,
you'll
we
find
have-
that the majority of the people don't get paper. I mean, I've been gone 6 years and it was decreasing drastically then. I gotta believe it's even worse now. So
Yeah,
I think
people-
anything we can do, like I said, online, I think is great, but if we can post it at some of these places that we know,
there's
you're gonna have
traffic.
some people there,
Yeah,
absolutely.
people are walking in, definitely. So just to
The
give you.
Recplex, what about the Recplex? Will people
Yes,
see
the
it there?
Recplex. There's how much traffic goes in and out of there. Absolutely. It's a great idea. So these are the priorities that were in the 20, that we're under currently. Currently, these are the priorities, so it gives you examples. They're very broad. And that's okay. because what we do is we create programming from these. But these are just the ones that we used for the current one that we're in from 2020 to 2024. So, is there one more? There you go. So really it's, what are your thoughts? When you maybe look at the example of types of activities, or where do you think that there's needs? And so it's really just like a brainstorming session. Jenny's gonna take notes. I think we're still recording this just for us if we wanna look back on it. So I'm not gonna tell you that idea doesn't work, or I wanna just hear and listen, and we'll sort through it all later.
Sure. Christine, I can start. Christine, will you go back to some of those West Des Moines statistics on owner-occupied housing? Somewhere around,
It's Ryan running this.
yeah, that's, sorry, Ryan.
The circles?
There we go. That looks good. Actually, can you go forward 2 slides? I had a different question, or forward, or, no, one back.
Too fast.
There it is.
Yeah.
Just a real quick question on this before I get to my main question. I'm looking at substandard housing lacking complete plumbing. We have renters. There's 55 to 80. That's 80 total people who have lacking complete plumbing or kitchen facilities. Can you tell me about that at all? Just because that's a concerning figure.
Absolutely. I was waiting for one of you to catch that one. And I wonder about this one because we have rental inspections, right? How I would interpret these are not legal rentals.
No.
Because we wouldn't allow that. If somebody had a rental certificate, we're not going to allow incomplete plumbing.
But you're saying we have it.
Comes from the census. So somebody filled out a census form and that was what they said.
Do we know the address then?
No,
We don't.
no. This is,
Well, I mean, if it comes from the census,
yeah, no, that's a fair question. No, we don't know who's out there saying they don't have complete plumbing.
Okay. So I wanted to notice that. Now, Ryan, you want to go back? I'll just tell you when to stop if you want to go back. There we go. There we go. So I'm looking at this one, and I see our owner-occupied housing, 57%. And is that still the lowest in the metropolitan area for owner-occupied housing?
How do we compare to Ankeny, Waukee,
Yes.
Altoona? I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
But that's a great question.
When I looked at the 2020 census data, we were the lowest in the metropolitan area, including Des Moines. Des Moines was at 58%. And so that just means that, we do have a lot of apartments in the city of West Des Moines. So there's 2 things I want to say about this when it comes to what should our priorities be. The first component is this. Affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever you want to call it, from the rental standpoint. There's always work to be done in that regard from the rental standpoint. And I'm supportive of doing work for that specific purpose. Affordable workforce housing for rentals. There's that part.
Yeah.
The other part is this missing middle that we hear about often. This owner-occupied housing, this is not single-family homes. This is townhomes, multifamily housing, but it's owner-occupied. Everything you know about American history tells us the greatest way to transfer generational wealth is through owner-occupied housing. It's Black History Month. We're teaching this in my class right now, this idea that many Americans were denied owner-occupied housing for such a very long time, and thus denied the opportunity to transfer generational wealth. And while if you're a young person, it's great to have rental opportunities. Folks, we have rental opportunities. We have a lot of rental opportunities. Apartments.com. How many rentals do we have in the city of West Des Moines? Under $900, which I'm not saying is cheap, but 108 different results for apartments.com, less than 900. Now we can talk about like how accurate this is. And then we go to Zillow and we ask the question, how many homes, owner-occupied homes or townhomes are available for under $250,000 in the city of West Des Moines? 5 results, 230, 180, 245, 197, and 232. Now, we all know that prices have gone up. We know that. But these are townhomes and single-family homes. So when I think of a young person graduating from high school, graduating from DMAC, graduating from a 4-year school, wanting to relocate to West Des Moines, this is not a unique problem to West Des Moines by any means. What I see is that missing middle. So my question is, can we focus a lot of our prioritization. And there's only so much we could do with $230,000. I understand that completely. But that's my opinion on what we should do going forward. However, we can fall under the umbrella of what is HUD appropriate, which I know is difficult. I know we've done housing work creating new single-family homes in the Valley Junction area. We've done that in the past. I thought that was pretty cool, and we're going to have some nice homes there. And I think Mayor Tremble has unmuted.
But missing middle, that's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
missing middle
Owner-occupied
for me.
Opportunities with more attached housing in that income bracket.
Yeah, because the data of what I see
prices.
just screams that is indeed what is missing. That's why they call it that. So that's my thoughts. Thank you, Christine.
I love the missing middle. I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure that this demographic that we're able to use the money on, we can hit missing middle. But I love that idea. I guess what I would say is we traditionally have used this money for certain things, like, free or discounted bus passes for low-income individuals. I think that's a big bang for the buck because 60% of the rides that DART gives are to people's place of employment, to people's jobs. So I think that's important. I think that's a good bang for the buck. If we want to really help people during this time, I think the other big bang for the buck is some kind of rental assistance, some kind of a mortgage assistance or rental assistance. If we wanted to get into owner-occupied, partnering with Habitat for Humanity and working with them. Like I love the city of Waukee. Got to give them kudos. They are doing I don't know how many units with Habitat for Humanity on townhomes that are going to be owner occupied. So those kind of things are what come to my mind. How can we really help people in need at this point in time? I think those are some of the ways. That's my 2 cents.
Just maybe going down the line here, I can't say I disagree with, frankly, anything I've heard at this point. I also recognize that unfortunately the funding is such that it probably can't make too big of a dent in some of the things where we need to make a few more dents. But I've talked to Ryan a few times in the past about what is it we can do to help reinvigorate, so to speak, some of the multifamily housing we have here, and maybe working with some developers on providing greater access to housing that meets the criteria, maybe within HUD, if we were to come up with some program. I don't know if that is something we could work on. And I'll just echo Russ's comments on DART. I think we all know the challenges that exist there. We also know that there's going to be additional pressures on the city of West Des Moines. And to the extent that these funds can be used, the figures that Russ has shared tonight, but also in the past, are pretty strong in terms of, a lot of these folks, this is their only way to get to healthcare. It's their only way to get to their job and to other meaningful appointments. And I know we've used it in the past, and it seems like a very good use of those dollars.
I have a question. So the money has to go for housing of some type, right?
No.
No?
It's way down 22.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask
It's
is
got
DART.
the 6 categories of eligible activities.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, let's leave that.
There you go.
Okay.
So there's details within that.
Have we considered any joint programs with places like West Des Moines Human Services? Have we considered any joint programs with places like Eddie Davis or Central Iowa Shelter? Right now, we have a lot of human services organizations, at least a half a dozen, that apply for hotel motel taxes every year. And I've been pretty open with the fact that I feel like that's not the right channel for those folks to receive funding from. This might be a better place to think about how to place those dollars.
So that's a great thing that you brought up. So Human Services is a department of the city. So they are definitely ones that get the funds out. They are the ones that administer the homeless prevention. The clients come into them, they need the assistance, and Human Services is the one that assists them. They're also the ones that get out the transit passes, because that's where the clients are going. So we are partnering with Human Services because they're a department of the city. Where I was going with this is we have not done subrecipients, is what HUD calls them. So we would have a round, we would have funding available, whatever the amount is, and then people can apply for that funding in the same way they do with hotel motel. We have not traditionally done that in the 20 years we've had CDBG, but we certainly can do that. We can have a round of funding where they can apply. They have to meet all the same guidelines that we do, but we can certainly do that.
But they all have to be residents of West Des Moines, correct?
Yes, that would be part of the application process. So if the Eddie Davis Center wanted to apply, they would have to outline what are they going to use the funds for, who are the recipients, how are they going to document incomes, how are they going to meet national objectives. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rigmarole to go through, but that's an option that the city can take and decide we want to take a pot of money and allow other organizations to administer it.
I was thinking we're starting to make all those organizations go through that rigmarole now. Probably should have done that in the past, but I just
Yeah, it's an
feel
option.
like if that money's available there, we should think about how to leverage it that way. So
The biggest challenge we'll have with that is the public service cap, that 15%. So that's around 50,000 that we have to put towards public service activities. And of that, we spend 28,000 buying bus passes, and we give about 16,000 to Human Services for Homeless Prevention. And then that public service money is gone.
Yeah.
That is the most challenge. And so during COVID, that cap was lifted. There was no cap, and so we spent 200,000 on homeless prevention, and it was gone within months because it was needed, particularly in that summer of
I
COVID
thought
of
you said
2020.
earlier we couldn't use it for homeless services. Did I miss that? It was driving.
We can.
Yeah.
Oh, we can.
Absolutely
Okay,
can.
Okay, I must have misunderstood something.
Yeah, we absolutely, for rent assistance, you can't use it every month. You can't say, I'm going to pay your rent or help your rent for 12 months.
Yeah, no, I.
But it can be a one-time assistance.
Emergency.
Yeah.
I think no matter what we do, it has to hit as many people as possible. We need to basically, share the wealth, if you will, rather than take care of just a small few.
So going on that, one thing we haven't done is a lot of, we could help parks. We could touch parks if they're in a low-income census tract. We're taking some of the CDBG money and doing stormwater retainage on Vine Street, and so that's going to protect all of those homes to the south. We haven't done those infrastructure type projects, and that would touch a lot of people. They may not directly see it, but they will feel it if there was a disaster, if there was a 10-inch rain like we had that one year. So those are opportunities that we could look more at.
Okay.
That was a good idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's basically it. Just that, and if we do anything that's targeted towards, home improvement or something like that, I know we've done some of this in the past, but I think we need to really look at how we're promoting this and getting the word out there. Because just because we've got, and I'm just gonna throw a number out there, $100,000 allocated for this, and you only have, a handful of properties that apply for it, we need to be figuring out, why aren't we getting more of these property owners to apply for it? It doesn't do any good to say, well, we had it, sorry, you didn't apply. We need to figure out how we target those people and let them know that this is here for their benefit. And try to, I guess, make it easier for them to get the funds that's needed, because there's a lot of properties out there, that are owner occupied that need some major improvements.
Yes.
Throughout the entire city,
Agreed.
not just Valley Junction.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So, and we would actually internally, we've been talking more about that we changed the administration of Metro Home Improvement and Dallas County Housing Trust Fund that we have been doing for a long time. We have given that to Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance to administer those programs. So that has freed up staff time so that we can do some of those more intensive. We can get into better advertising because we'll have the time. We're not running 3 or 4 different programs all at the same time with limited staff. So I think we're gonna have a lot more opportunity to get better about getting the word out.
Good.
And I would just add, I know we've talked about this, Councilmember Trevelyan, but one of the challenges with the home rehab program and some of the federal rules that we've got in place, they haven't raised the cap per property for, I don't know how many decades now. It's stayed at $24,999 for as long as I've ever been paying attention. as you probably all know, that doesn't get you too far these days when it comes to a rehab. Plus, there's all the strings attached about lead testing and radon testing and all those kind of things too that really can kind of sometimes scare people away from utilizing programs like that. So I think, you know, in the purest essence of when I think of CDBG funding, I usually go to a home rehab program too. But I think that there's a reason why that maybe didn't get as well utilized last time around too, and that might have something to do with all the strings attached with this federal funding. And then I think, Christine, if you could maybe touch a little bit about what this doesn't do from construction on on residential, that's, I think, an important point.
If I could just kind of address kind of my areas too, and then we can go there. I love seeing these type of activities, and housing is one that is really near and dear to me in terms of trying to make sure that we provide assistance for folks that maybe are trying to get their first home or improve their homes. So housing would be the first thing. Transportation is also critical. We have folks that need to get from A to Z, and, you know, any kind of assistance that we can do to do that would be my second choice. So, but housing, anything to help toward affordable housing, improving the housing that people live in, those are the kind of things that get me excited.
Okay. So what Brian was mentioning is a little nuance with CDBG is you cannot use it for the construction of housing.
Okay.
Multifamily, owner occupied, single family, doesn't matter. You can do ground and below. So you can demolish a house, you can acquire the property, you can do any of the sewer or infrastructure needs or sidewalk or roads, that's fine, but you cannot do anything above the ground. So that's just a limitation. There's still ways that we can assist with housing.
Okay.
But we can do rehab though.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
but you
can't construct.
Correct.
New.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And not do new construction. So it's just a little nuance
Yeah,
that you're not
But
allowed to do
again,
that.
with that, I mean, if you did new construction, I mean, you're only gonna do one. I mean, there's not enough money to go around.
Right.
But land acquisition could be okay.
Yes, land acquisition.
And but I want to say I do agree with what Kevin said earlier. For the greatest number, like the stormwater, like if that's the choice of the greatest number or one thing like that, I mean the greatest number is correct. I think I'm coming from a world where we have seen some extra at the end of the year, and we're just like, all right, we need to find creative solutions to utilize this money because it's a use it or lose it situation. And I think that's when we've gotten creative, and maybe that has narrowed the funnel to maybe lesser people specifically. But I think the grander goal should be kind of what Kevin said, greater number of people. That makes sense.
That's good to hear. Any other?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, appreciate it. So like I said, we'll hold more consultation meetings. We'll let you know if we hear about CDBG funding on the federal level, and we'll eventually come back to you with a plan.
Keep praying, keep praying.
Yeah. So,
All right.
okay. Thank you.
Is it possible to get a printed copy of this
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes,
PowerPoint?
of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can email it to all of you, or I can physically give you a print and put it in your mailboxes.
Gonna be
Yeah, put
better.
it in.
Yeah.
Print it in
Easier
your
to look
mailboxes.
at on my phone.
Okay.
Email.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Good presentation.
Yeah. I like
All
it.
right, thanks everybody.